Well, you see, that last video, I had my big cowboy hat on. And when I woke up this morning after a nice sleep, I heard that my lady sent me a text message actually to say that the Americans on a Sunday had bombed the Iranians. So the cowboys are flying, they got their motors running and they're doing the wild thing, yeah. And it's not a good thing to do, of course. It's murder. Murder, she wrote. Yet they can't help themselves. They've got the karma of what they did to the Germans in World War II. Very terrible what they did to the Germans in World War II. You have no idea. And the press manipulated it to be the other way round. Yeah, Germans did the bad stuff. And the Americans, well, they were nowhere to be seen in the media, were they? Their atrocities, what they did to the German people, they have no idea. And it wasn't a fair fight, yeah. And if you're a bully and you don't make a fair fight, well, you can't win. You think you won, but you can't win. And so the Americans never win their wars, not with God. They may think they win on the ground. Yet all the time their empire is getting worse and worse and more evil. And the people living in it are getting more and more unhappy, and the poor people are getting poorer and the richer are getting disgustingly, obnoxiously rich. Yeah. And they're laughing all the way to the bank. Yeah, laughing all the way to the bank. But their karma is coming, yeah. And I just noticed a day or so ago a very, very big sign in the universe. What's that? Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space. Explode into space. I was thinking in that song, Explode into Space, that's what at Starship of Elon Musk's did. It was a big explosion as America explodes into space. So it's a sign of what's to come, yeah. And there's no turning back from this terrible act that the Americans have done on Iran. No turning back from this. But the funny thing is they can't help themselves. They're all just players in a movie. They're playing their parts because their karma that they made already determines that they must be destroyed. If you destroy other nations, your nation must be destroyed. It's that simple. And the British did it, and their nation was destroyed. And every nation that tried to use bullying tactics against another nation, they all got destroyed in the end. It just takes a little bit of time, that's all. And you can't fight. An unfair fight is never rewarded with a victory. It's not a victory, it's a loss. And more depravity for the people of that nation that allowed such a thing to happen. Yeah. So what we're supposed to do as people, good people, we're supposed to chastise the evil in the world, and we're supposed to say, this is not right. Don't do this. And everybody has to rise up and cast out the evil demons out of the White House, which they did in the 1960s. They said, out, demon, out, demon, out. This was the Fugs and Timothy Leary's bunch, Allen Ginsberg, and so on, protested, gathered outside the White House and chanted to get the demons out of the White House. At the time of the Vietnam War, yeah, this is the terrible, evil war that the Americans have fought. So their karma has been to be seen to be the most evil empire that ever walked on this earth. And people are still walking around supporting this empire, knowing its evils, yet supporting it, seeing it, the causer of all the troubles in the world. So anyway, yesterday I did a video about the true nature of the natural system, and today I have another diagram somewhere here, somewhere. I have a diagram. In my folder, part of the natural order of poets, bards and druids. And we have this diagram of the evil American empire. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the dog barked at the start there. Alright, now these two flagpoles here are on the White House lawn, okay, next to the Epstein files here. Alright, and no parking, yeah, because this is where all the laws come from, yeah, don't do this, don't do that. Okay. Now, all of this is basically the ideology of slavery. The ideology of slavery originates in the Talmud, the Bible of Israel. Okay, Israel. Now, Israel, God changed the name of Jacob to Israel after Jacob became an evil servant of the devil, basically. And he maimed Jacob, maimed Israel, and named him Israel at this point in time, to show the world that he was going in a wrong direction. And he stole the birthright of his brother Esau, and his brother Esau, he became the Roman Empire. The Romans, the Greeks, the Romans, and ultimately migrated to the West, America, after gathering in the Ukraine area. The Ukraine was the was a homeland, if you like, of the Jews at the end of the European migrations before they moved to the rest of the world, which explains a lot about the Ukraine war, actually. But anyway, so basically they were responsible for the US stock exchange, which is the other basis of big money power in the world. Okay, so we've got Israel, the big money of Israel, controlling the Mossad and the Epstein files here. They use lies basically to control everything. And then we've got the stock exchange where they use the money to control the slavery, the ideology of slavery, the stock exchange, because instead of buying individual men, which is what they used to do, they said, oh no, we're going to buy complete companies of men, okay, complete, with tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of slaves inside them. We're going to buy and sell those on the US stock exchange. So that's what it is. It's just a modern ideology of slavery. So you had the ancient ideology of slavery, which was buying and selling. The captives of war is what they were, okay? And so the word, no, I'm not going to go there. It's okay. All right. This is the overview. We don't want to get into too much detail. Okay, and so you've got the two elements of it. You got the money for nothing, okay, the money for nothing, and the chicks for free. And it's funny because I left out the vowel because in actual fact, in the Hebrew, the ancient Hebrew had no vowels, okay. So when I got to money for nothing, I just put the F and left the dollar in the place of the O here, money for nothing. And I see it actually says FR, which is the Federal Reserve. So that's quite interesting. And here you got the Federal Reserve again down in the bottom here. And the chicks for free is what the political parties get, you know. Yeah, come on, Donald, have a good time, says Jeffrey, whilst making his Epstein files. Yeah. Okay, so your money for nothing and your chicks for free is a basic principle of the system. And the interest the interest on the money, because what they do is they put the proletariat into debt. The upper classes don't have any debt. They own shares in the stock exchange, which is just going up and up and up and up, okay? And probably at the moment they're converting it to gold, which is what they like. They like best the gold on top here, you know, the gold, the big bag of gold, okay? And the stock exchange is just a way of expanding that bag of gold into control of all this stuff, okay? And right at the top of the pyramid is the military-industrial slavers, I call them. The military-industrial complex are really slavers, the slave traders, okay? The slavers are the ones who used to use the boats to take the slave. Now they use the bombs, okay? And they're busy doing it in Iran at the moment. They're using their big bombs to enslave the Iranian masses. That's what they're doing. They want to get rid of the good system, the good Iranian system, which was this natural system in Iran. They want to get rid of that and put their system in so that all of this slavery can take place. Okay. And you'll see in the other diagram, I had the criminal classes were right at the bottom of the heap, but they've inverted it, and the criminal classes are all at the top. The top people in running the government of this ancient ideology of slavery are the criminal classes, okay? And they appoint the Don, the master of the world, for a time, okay? It used to be Biden. Now we've got the Donald Trump. And it's interesting, I had a look at the meaning of Donald on Wikipedia. I had a look at the meaning of Donald. And Donald means Don of the world, master of the world. And Trump is a trick in bridge. To trump somebody is to play a trick upon them. And so Donald Trump's name identifies him as the master of the world by a trick. And this whole system is a trick, really. It's just a trick. Now we'll take 5. So we can see that the leadership, the wise men of the nation, are supposed to be penniless without money, so that they can't be accused of conspiring to undermine the natural order. And in this diagram of the American Israel system, I haven't read this book yet. It's just arrived because it seems to be, it's a prop. It's a prop to make this video. This lady's dead now. And she died at an early age of cancer. Frank Zappa also died at an early age of cancer. And both of these people share something in common, is they're both very critical in a very intelligent way about the American-Israeli system. And they died in kind of opposite cancer ways. Frank Zappa died from a prostate cancer, and it would be fairly easy to put some radioactive pellet in the seat that he sat on. You know, like me, I'm sitting on the seat there. They could easily put a radioactive pellet inside the seat, and eventually I'd die of some bad cancer. Or they could give some nice earrings, arrange that the lady's earrings got some radio pellets in it, and she died of a brain cancer. Yeah. So you can see, we don't know. I'm a conspiracy theorist. We don't know whether these deaths are natural or not. If somebody dies of cancer, and if somebody dies of a drug overdose, that's how they got rid of all the icons of the 1960s, those people who were critical also of this American-Israeli system. And Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and the rest of them. And the drugs discredited them at the same time. Yeah, oh, they were just drug addicts. Yet they may have been given an overdose of drugs to put them out, to get rid of them. Jim Morrison, very suspicious, Jim Morrison, because he was a man full of life and very, very strongly accusing them of the slavery and telling the people to come out of your trough, come out of your trough, you slaves. He knew what was going on. He was like a king of America, really, natural king, Jim Morrison. And he was severely dealt to by the media and the entire system, if you like, of American-Israeli politics. Now, George Galloway is a very great equivalent, if you like, of Jim Morrison in England. And he's got a one-man fight going against this whole system. He's a very, very, very good man. And he deserves to be king, and is the natural king, our natural king in Britain. But he's been marginalised, even though he's been in politics for 50 years and speaks better and more honestly than any man in England. He's never in the media. Unless you know about his channel, you'll never get a link come up in YouTube or anything. You'll never see him. He's like hidden from sight by the algorithm, the AI that controls the world. And they feel safe in this respect. Yet, in fact, we're all connected. In the divine world, we're all connected. When we're born, our umbilical cord connects us to our mother. And if this was never cut, every human being in the planet will be connected by their umbilical cord. Now, there are levels of nature where this umbilical cord is not cut, where it's still there in the etheric realms, if you like. And so everybody in the world is connected one with the other. And as a thought appears in one part of the world and one person appears in another person, it's all interconnected. And so ideas cannot really be stopped. They transcend the material world. And so that's why there's hope. There's hope for the world. And the karma is that these bad governments, some governments are worse than other governments, and they bring the worst government to fight against the not so bad government, and the one destroys the other. And in the end, the people, this brings a certain level of freedom to the people. And the people are given a chance again to elect new leaders. And what happens is, as George Galway says, there's only two political parties to vote for, and they're two cheeks in the same arse. Yeah. And the church, the official church, the Church of England, which also sits in the House of Peers, the House of, they call them lords. Most of them are not lords in any sense of the word. Criminal classes. They sit up there appointed by cronies. And the church, this is the piece of shit on the arse, on the hairs of the arse, of the one arse. The clinker, clinging, the worst aspect of the whole lot of it. Because their whole church system is flying the Ukrainian flag. What does that tell you? Our American Israel, right? What is the church doing involved in war? And so, this is the worst of it. This is the absolute lowest of the low. And so, the real church is in poverty. It's actually, it's surprising that it survives at all. Yet it does. And that is the wonder of the world, in that if you live in truth and goodness, all of this stuff passes you by, and we have our job to do, and we're doing it now. So I fought a good fight. I've been to the protests and all that stuff. When I was a knight, I've sung my songs of freedom on the streets of the world, not just England, and I've done all that. Now I don't have to do that. And you, the rest of you, have to do all that. So yes, you need to protest about the injustices in the world. You don't need to fight about it, but you need to protest about it. I lie. You need to fight about it. You need to fight about it until you learn from your fighting that the fighting doesn't work. But you have to learn it from experience. You can't be told it. You have to prove yourself willing to fight, to transcend the need to fight. Okay. That's never been said before. That's new in the world, that understanding. You need to prove yourself on the battlefield. And those good ones amongst you will survive, And it has to be a fair fight. get back to the diagram. All right, where did we leave off? Oh, you can see I made an addition after I watched back that last video. You can see that the criminal classes at the top appoint the Don, the Master of the World, and he appoints the House of Lords, okay? And all the people coming out of, these are coming out of the university systems, okay? And the publishing, these control the publishing of scientific papers and all that sort of stuff. This is the body, okay? This is the body. This is the head. The House of Lords, this is the mouth. This is the head. This is the hat that the Don is wearing, okay? You can see who he is by what hat he wears. If he's wearing the hat, this hat, then you know who he is, what he is. And so these are the various universities of the world which make up the body. And the banking types end up in the upper class party, political party, and the socialist types end up in the lower class party. But they're all coming from the same body, if you like. They're all carrying in tune with the same head and the same hat. They're all wearing the same head and the same hat. And the upper class party is concerned with the rights of the wealthy. They give the wealthy better and better rights. And the lower class party is concerned with the laws that control the proletariat, the laws of poverty, the job centre, and what we do with the old age pensioners and the health system, and you know, are we going to allow you to? Are we going to be allowed to kill you off when you get too old and sick? But with euthanasia and all that sort of stuff. This is all handled by the socialist type party, which in the UK is the Labour Party, and in the UK the upper class party this is the Conservative Party, okay, which is now splitting into the Reform Party. The Reform Party is going to probably take the place of this, but it won't be any different. It'll still be coming from the same body and the same head and be wearing the same hat by the time it gets into power. Okay. And so the political system is completely and utterly corrupted and controlled, and the fact that people in it are allowed to be wealthy just shows that it doesn't have any future, this, okay. And underneath all of this, we've got all of the various companies that control the proletariat. Microsoft, Tesla, General Motors, Volkswagen, the EU, the UK. These are entire countries that are slaves to the system. The Arabs, the Al-Qaeda working for them, US aid, so all of the non-government NGOs, non-government organizations, and I can't read that. It's too small for me. Okay, and the proletariat are just slaves in all these companies, and these companies are simply bought and sold on the US stock exchange, and entire slave bodies of slaves it change hands. Okay.
Now there's two games on the foot. There's lawn tennis and lawn bowls. Lawn bowls ends up in the Epstein files, and lawn tennis is what gets shown on TV to the proletariat. And also we've got, out of the criminal classes come the internet and the World Wide Web. They were invented by the criminal classes to control the world. And the paradox is that they're the only thing at the moment that is freeing the world from the control of these aspects here. Interesting. There is a security fence between the poor and the rich. They live separate lives. All the highest level of these people, they all have special homes, escape homes in New Zealand. The Peter Thiels of this world and so on. They have their escape hatch. If things get too bad, they can run away to New Zealand and escape there, where the water may be the only unpolluted water you can drink on Earth after World War III. That's all for the diagram. I think you can see from this the nature of the beast. It has its hat that it wears, the ideology of slavery coming out of the Talmud of the ancient Israel, and the modern ideology, DEI, coming out of here, and the other aspects of the warring aspects coming out of here. Okay, two sections. And on top of it all is the military industrial slavers. These are the ones who make the wars and make the money and appoint and control the dons of the world. It's really just a mafia system, the same as the mafia, really. And also an evolution of the mafia, because the mafia started out in these areas here and moved up as it became, through the stock exchange, as it became accepted into big business. Okay, that's enough of the diagram.
So we can see how the system became turned upside down. They didn't invent new things, they just took over the existing things. So the abbeys, they were dissolved, the monasteries were dissolved in the 17th, 16th, 17th centuries, and the University of Oxford came out of that. It still existed, and there were good professors, if you like, in that organisation who were carrying true wisdom, philosophy, and these were all cast out at the formation of Parliament in the UK, when they took over Parliament. And the Parliament, of course, was part of the natural order, yet it became a permanent thing. And all the good was cast out. A lot of them ended up in America, actually. They had to emigrate because there was no place for them in academia in the UK. I had to go somewhere else. And that's generally the nature of this thing, is as the evil takes over, the good has to migrate. But now there's no place, you can't migrate anymore because all the routes have been closed. And still people find their way to migrate, people coming to UK from Africa, from Middle East, from Russian area. They still come here, somehow they manage to get here. Yet it's becoming more and more difficult to move on the world. And this is a great tragedy, because unless the human race can migrate, it cannot really evolve properly. And what it does is it's like a powder keg. It just gets worse and worse and worse until it has to explode, like it did in the Industrial Revolution. And this is what it's approaching now, because there's nowhere to go. You can't escape. There's no new place to go and populate and make a better political system to start again in the natural order. There's nowhere to do this. There's no America to go to. Yeah. There's no New Zealand to go to, no South Africa to go to. It's all been done, finished, and now it has to come to a head, really. And that's what it's doing. And this coming to a head is exactly what happened 2,000 years ago when the Jewish Empire was destroyed by the Roman Empire. And it's got to be done all over again. And until man understands the nature of the beast, it will continue. The beast will continue. Yet there's hope for the world, because Amy Kaplan has done her job, George Galloway has done his job, Tucker Carlson is doing his job, starting to come to this understanding, I feel. And as this understanding, which is covered in this series of videos, is all you need really. I think there's 6 videos. The 6 videos gives the full understanding of the problem of the modern world. And its solution also, because its solution is in the return of the natural system. Because the natural system might take the place of the unnatural order. Okay. To understand what that natural system is, because it's complicated, yeah. And to try to recover it, because it doesn't need to start again. It can simply be, the system that we have now can simply evolve back into the natural order. Because you can't fight a war. People will fight wars and they will be fought and empires will be destroyed. Yet the fight is in one's own home, it's in one's own business, it's in the school, it's wherever you are. You can't organize to do this. The truth is what needs to overcome the lie. And the truth and the lie come together as 2 human beings in conversation. And as everybody comes to the understanding of this, what I'm putting forward here now, which is coming into the world now, it's coming to everybody now from various sources. As the world understands this, so it will change and it will bring order back into all of the various corrupted things that have happened. The parliament, the universities, the abbeys, who the leadership are, whether they have wealth or don't have wealth, and so on. It won't be acceptable for leaders to have wealth. They have to give it up before they become leaders. You know, if Trump had said, here's all my shares, I give them to the nation. Here's all my companies, I give them away. Now I'm just Donald. I've no connection to anybody. Now the truth will set you all free. Oh, no, he didn't do this, did he? He's wearing the hat of the slave state. Enough said. I'll leave you on that same old song that I started at the beginning, the version 2 of it. Thanks for watching.